فسنيسره للعسرى وما يغني عنه ماله إذا تردى إن علينا للهدى وإن لنا للآخرة والأولى فانذرتكم نارا تلظى لا يصلاها إلا الأشقى الذي كذب وتولى وسيجنبها الأشقى الذي يؤتي ماله يتزكى وما لأحد عنده من نعمة تجزى إلا ابتغاء وجه الله ربه الأعلى فلسوف يرضى صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات اللهم صل على وآله بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات. If you have some oil, we can. Okay. Inshallah, I read a Marsiya in Farsi. This is about Ruqayya talking to her father. And we always start with salam to Abu Abdullah. Assalamu alayka ya Abu Abdullah wa ala al-arwah allati allat bifana'ik. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين صلوات الله عليهم أجمعين. دلی ای عمه پر غم دارم امشب. حضرت رقیه talking to father from the Sham place. دلی ای عمه پر غم دارم امشب که دلتنگ پدر بسیارم امشب. پرید خواب از چشمانم اکنون گرفته قلب پر افکارم امشب. For the sake of saving time, I don't translate, so I just read it quickly. بود چشمم به راهش در خرابه که باشد حسرت دیدارم امشب. من امشب می نشینم تا صبح به امید پدر بیدارم امشب. مگر بابام خبر از ما ندارد که منزل در خرابه دارم امشب. پدر جان گر بیایی ور نیایی، من از هجر تو جان بسپارم امشب. پدر جان از غمت جانم به لب شد، در این ویرانه سرای تارم امشب. سرم بابا به دامن می گرفتی، ببین برخش بگذارم سر امشب. الا لعنت الله علی القوم الظالمین و سیعلم الذین ای منقلب ینقلبون. صلوات. اللهم صل علی
صلوات على محمد وعلى محمد. I would like to thank Sheikh Amin for accepting our invitation to come to IABA, and always I hope he continues to accept our invitation to come as much as possible. And I want to thank everybody for showing up on time, and without further ado, with Allah salawat, I would like to invite Sheikh Amin to the member. Salawat.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين، واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين. Every year, as we make our way into the month of Safar, and then slowly Arba'een, and then slowly the mourning season of Muharram and Safar ends. Can you hear me? No? They say I have a soft voice, so I don't know about that. We reach the end of Muharram and Safar, and of course, after that, there's different Eids that we have, the Milad of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then you have other things as well, Rabi'ul Awwal. And so, when these 2 months and 8-9 days pass, it really depends how we look at those 2 months that have passed for us. Now, for some, the beginning of the year for them is the month of Ramadan. Some people who are very spiritual, for them, their new year is the month of Ramadan. When there's a new year, there's new resolutions that you have, there's new decisions that you make. You want to change something for the better. Of course, a lot of people break their New Year's resolutions the first week or two. But all in all, that's what you do on New Year's Day, right? When it's your new year. Now, there are some who are the azadars of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. For them, the first of the year, their new year, their favorite part of the year, let's say, and just because it's your favorite part of the year doesn't mean it's a happy occasion necessarily. There's some poetry that says that every year, O Hussein, when your tragedy comes, I'm very happy. Not happy because of the tragedy, just because the month of remembering you has come. We all can relate to that, inshallah, the love of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. These people, these azadars of Imam Hussein, for them, their New Year's is Muharram. Okay, well, if Muharram is your New Year's, then that is a time for us to make some decisions for the rest of the year. And so what I want to talk about tonight, inshallah, a little bit, in the time that we have, is what does an azadar want to make of decisions for the year to come, now that we have entered Safar. And slowly we're going to reach Arba'in, inshallah. And we're going to exit this month and this season of mourning for Imam Hussein. We need to keep some things in mind. I don't know. I personally think that if a person goes through these 2 months, but then right after that goes straight back to normal what they were before Muharram, then it might be that they've kind of lost. Just like those Urafa who, if they enter the month of Ramadan and then leave the month of Ramadan without having changed, then we have a serious problem. Correct? Now those are the Urafa, the ones who have that special connection with Allah. A person like me who's weak, yeah, it's hard for me to connect to Allah. Well, it's easier for me to connect to Imam Hussein at least, right? It's easier for me to try to maintain some of the decisions that I've made in Muharram. Why? Because it's just so easy to connect to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. These tears, when they come, it shows that you have been touched to the core, okay? It's a sign. I say this sometimes, that Imam Hussein shows us, gives us a little taste of what real, pure Tawheed is. When you connect with Allah, inshallah, after a lifetime of servitude to Allah, you have one of those salats that you really connect in to Allah, inshallah. Imam Hussein gives us a little taste of what that is like with him. It is so much easier because we are, at the end of the day, not strong in our faith as a person like me. And so, connecting to Imam Hussein through his tragedy, via tears, gives me a taste of what it's like to actually connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, now, having said that, I don't want to leave this month, this season, let's call it, without benefiting. Because I'm not one of those Urafa that's going to really change any other part of the year, probably. But Imam Hussein touches lives. And so that's why I want to talk about this, a little bit of the importance of this azah, number one. And then number two, what does an azadar look like throughout the year, inshaAllah ta'ala. Recite a salawat, please. So as we grow older as parents, yeah, we might sometimes forget that when we were younger how much we gave importance to azadari, right? And so sometimes you might find yourself or catch yourself speaking to the youth. I'm talking about myself again. Like, hey, people, like, you know, make sure that you focus on other things too. And I'm not going to say that's a false statement, but let us remember that this azah of Imam Hussein, it's kind of like muscle memory, right? When I pass by the basketball court here, for example, I'm like 40 years old right now. But I used to be point guard growing up in high school. And so I know if I hold that basketball, I still have the stroke, I still have the shot. And inshallah tonight, after the program is over, we hang out with the youth a little bit, we'll have a little shootout and I'll show you, right? But all in all, okay, this muscle memory thing is real. When you're young, I'll give you another example. When I went to Qom, okay, way back in 1999. One summer I came back, then I stayed there for like 13, 14 years straight. It reached a point that I forgot how to speak English. Yeah, the guy that's always talking, me, there was a time that he forgot how to speak English. 14 years, I could not, if someone was going to come speak to me, I wouldn't be able to speak with them. But look at the power of muscle memory. At the end of the day, it's my mother tongue. So I'll understand when I hear it. I might not be able to carry on a conversation with someone, but all it takes is 1 month, 2 weeks, just talking to people, and it comes all the way back, right back, muscle memory. Why am I saying this? These tears for Imam Hussein, tears especially, nothing beats tears. Everything else we do, I would say, is secondary compared to tears, because the hadiths have put their finger on this. Let's keep this in mind. Azah is a general concept that might be manifested in different forms of azah, some of which the Imams have not put their finger on. A lot of them. It's a cultural thing, nothing wrong with it. It falls under the category of azah. Of course, we don't want to cross any red lines of Islam either. But then there are some forms of azah that the Ahlul Bayt have put their finger on. They know what's going on with tears. With tears, a special bond is made. If you're not touched, that tears ain't going to come. In other words, when tears come, shows that you've developed a connection to the point that, if some of you might know this, when you go to ziyarat, what is one of the things they say is a sign that you have been given idhn al-dukhul, and permission to enter the shrine of Ahl Bayt? What is it? That tears come to your eyes. It shows that a connection is made. Now, if tears don't come, doesn't mean don't go. But all in all, this is a good sign. Okay. This muscle memory, brothers and sisters, with the youth, if a youth connects with Imam Hussein through those tears, I don't have to worry too much about later on explaining to them why they should stay away from certain harams, why they need to make sure to do certain wajibat. Even if, and this is my opinion, I've seen it in experience, if this youth goes off in the wrong way, okay, there's a very good chance, I'm not going to guarantee anything because the test is for all of us, but there's a very good chance they're going to go either make a small circle and come back, sometimes a very big circle. But because of that muscle memory, so to speak, the spiritual muscle memory that they had through the blessing of Imam Hussein, lots of times they come back. I've had cases where parents were very worried about their kids. And I told them, look, I know he's making big mistakes, but give it some time. And sure enough, after like 5 years, you see the guy is back and he's getting work done. MashaAllah, that's great. But this is the blessing of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And so this is highlights the importance of this azat for our younger ones. Now, younger ones, don't worry, I'm going to get to you, and I'm gonna hurt you guys too. Like, give me some time, we'll get to you guys. I want to let you guys hear it a little bit as well, inshallah, but we'll get there. But this is for me, who has a young daughter, son, who is just all into these things. I need to understand that when I was young I also had the same inclinations. I felt that everything was in this and this only. But as you grow older, you understand that spiritual growth is more than this. The imams are there to push you in a certain direction, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which we'll talk about later. Okay? But the young one usually might be oblivious to this matter. It's fine. Put their hand in the hand of Imam Hussein. No guarantees once again. But there's a very good chance that they are going to end up where they're supposed to end up, insha'Allah ta'ala. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Alright, so now that since the hype, okay, we're slowly making our way towards the end of Muharram Safar. Yeah, when you're in the workout, when you're doing a workout, right? And you're pumping, and all those micro tears in the biceps and the acid that's building up and the burn and that pump that you get, it's a good feeling. Once you go home though, and all the air goes again, and the pump is gone, and you look in the mirror, you're still the same scrawny person you were, that's when the real hardship begins. That's where you have to now be careful what you put in your body. Now, I hate talking about these things because I'm not a good reflection of that right now. But last year I was in better shape. But anyway, when you lose that pump, that hype, that good feeling, yeah, it gets harder. The test gets harder. Brothers and sisters, every day is not going to be what we feel on the 10th of Muharram. 10th of Muharram, don't mess with us, Shia, because we are so in the zone, no one can mess with us. But fast forward to, 15th of Rastani, like who cares? Right? What's going on then? That's when Shaitan's going to come. Shaitan's probably not going to come after you like 10th of Muharram, right? Shaitan's like, I can't mess with this guy right now, but 15th Rastani, like I don't have anything against Rastani, I'm just saying this number. Shaitan's like, okay, now's the time, maybe I can go and see what's going on. Correct? Now that we're slowly making our way out, we still have a month left, almost a month left, to leave this season of Safar and the morning season. I want us to talk right now and reflect right now and make decisions right now on what I'm going to do once I leave this holy month, these holy months of Muharram and Safar. Okay? These months of observance. The first thing I want to talk about, what an azadar looks like, in my opinion, very humbly I say all of this, and inshallah I'm one of them as well. I practice what I preach as well, inshallah. Is that an azadar of Imam Hussein is very hardworking and reliable. Like the community can rely on this person. This person is not going to waste too much time. Now, it's hard for me to speak to a 10-year-old about this. It's hard for me to speak to a 15-year-old about this, but I can say this to a 20, 25-year-old, right? Hey, 20, 25-year-old, slowly it's time to get our act together. I don't want you to be 32, 33, as I see in different communities. You're still single and you're playing video games, right? 32, 33 is a time where, these are the best years of one's life. Come on. A hard worker. You know who was a hard worker in Ashura? Hazrat Abbas. But it wasn't just the 10th of Muharram. It was 35 years this man is getting ready for that day. And guess what? This is how Allah tests him, by the way. He is not able to showcase, yes, what he got out of all that preparation and training. And he didn't. That was his test. But he's the hardest working man. And then here I am, I'm the hardest working on Ashura, in Azadari, and the Sinazani and all of that. Okay, mashallah, Allah accept. But this should, inshallah, translate to what? Hard work outside of Muharram and Safar. Whether it's studies, whether it's learning some skills, whether it's working, whatever it is, religious work, reliability. Imam Hussein, till the last moments, he doesn't have to worry about anything because Hazrat Abbas is alive. I can rely on. There's one person I can rely on who's not going to question anything. That is what an Azadar, in my opinion, should look like throughout the year. Their parents can rely on them, the community can rely on them. And then my man is playing, at the age of 35, still playing Call of Duty with his friends online, mashallah. Now if you're 10, 12, 15, I can understand. I played the most video games when I was a kid, right? And here I am lecturing. So you can't go wrong, inshallah. But as you get a little more mature, let's look at things a little more realistically here. Once you've taken care of a halal living, number one, or that which is going to, inshallah, secure your halal livelihood in the future, which is maybe your studies, your degree, whatever it is, your skills you're learning. Once you've taken care of that, number one, you've taken care of learning about your religion a little bit too, which we'll talk about later as well, and then helping out, because there's a lot of problems in the community, nationally and internationally. Once we take care of all these things, there's spend some time for recreation, all that kind of stuff too. But plan it out. Let's be a little mature, inshallah, in our lives. That's number one. The Azadar of Imam Hussein, that's what he looks like, in my opinion. Number two, another thing that I want to share is that everyone loves the Azadar of Imam Hussein. Why? It's a person that everyone knows. This is a person who, when the 10th of Muharram comes, this person is in another world. Okay? Everyone loves this person. Why? Because he's good looking? She's good looking? No. Because this person has a fire that is burning in them for Imam Hussein, which doesn't allow others to burn from this person. I'll give you a little example of what I'm talking about here. One time, in one of the centers that I used to frequent, there was one brother, he was known, one of the uncles, may Allah give him health and long life. He's known for being the loudmouth of the center. You guys don't know who I'm talking about, so I'll share some information. I noticed he was sitting in the back while I was lecturing. And the topic of discussion was also very relevant. And so I said, brothers and sisters, don't be the one in the community everyone runs away from. Don't be the one that is known for being the loud one and the one that breaks people's hearts, burns people, all of this. I said these things. I said, inshallah, he hears this. Well, guess what? He did hear it. So after the majlis was over, you know how they come, everyone shakes Maulana's hand and stuff. When he was shaking my hand, you know what he told me? He said, very good, Maulana, these people have to hear this. I'm like, brother, the only person I was talking to was you. Like, I didn't care about any, I didn't tell him this, of course, but I'm like, hey, Sheikh, just stop trying, man. It doesn't look like it's going to work. Brothers and sisters, an Azadar of Imam Hussein that has that flame in them, burning the tragedy of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, others are not going to be burned by them. Don't be that person, brothers and sisters. The one that people are hesitant to speak to engage with. Don't be that person, brothers and sisters. This is not the way of the Ahlul Bayt. Number three, if this person is the Azadar of Imam Hussein and everything for them is Imam Hussein, what if there's someone out there that Imam Hussein loves so much? Who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam Hussein did what he did for Allah. Who is this Allah? Let me learn more about Allah. Is there something wrong with learning about Allah? I don't know. Someone tell me. Is there something wrong with learning about Allah that sometimes people say, no, that's for Ahl Sunnat. We love Ahl Bayt. No, Allah is part of the package, brothers and sisters. Someone told me once, they said, we're not allowed to recite Quran properly in some places back home. Like for example, we can't say wala dhalleen. We have to say wala zallin. I said, why? I said, if we say wala dhalleen, they say you're Sunni. If you say wala dhalleen, they say you're Sunni. If you say wala zallin, I'm Shia. In other words, if you recite it wrong, you're Shia. If you recite it right, you're Sunni. Come on, man. What are we doing? Learning about Allah is for others. Learning the Quran is for others. Ahlul Bayt is for us. Okay, Bismillah, let's learn about the Ahlul Bayt at least. No, we zoom in on one of the Ahlul Bayt and one of the days of his life, which is the 10th of Muharram. Yeah? There is so much to learn about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the Quran and through other teachings that we have. So in my opinion, once again, very humbly I say this, the Azadar of Imam Hussein is in love with whoever Imam Hussein is in love with. So what do? They try their best to fall in love with the one that Imam Hussein was in love with. Who is this that Imam Hussein's in love with so much? Let me learn about him. But this requires work, brothers and sisters. It requires reading and reflection, asking, researching. And alhamdulillah, in this day and age, there's so much barakat out there. Ayatollah Jawadi Amuli, he says this. He says, barakat rikhte, for those of you who speak Farsi. Barakat rikhte. Barakat, blessings, opportunities, they're just all over the place. It just requires you to come pick it up. You know, sometimes you walk into a room, there's nothing in the room. Sometimes you walk into a room full of gold and diamonds. It just depends how much room you have in your hands and your pockets. How much can you take? Ayatollah Jawadi says, in this day and age, and he doesn't have to tell me, it's common sense. I look around, everything is available today, mashallah. Halal and haram, everything's available. How much are you going to take in? For God's sake, I can even live here and listen to Dars al-Kharij from Ayatollah Uzma so-and-so in Qom in this day and age. They all have Telegram channels, they all have Instagram. Run by others, of course. You know, it's just too easy. I don't know what my answer is going to be to Allah on the Day of Judgment when I walk in there and I say, oh, I didn't know. And then the angels say, Halla ta'allamt, why didn't you learn? I can't say, well, my internet connection, I didn't have internet connection. You know? You're paying $70 a month for internet, what are you talking about? So the opportunities are there, mashallah, even more and more as we go forward. There's more classes that are being set up, not just majalis. Sometimes people think that learning about Islam equals majalis. Majalis play a very vital and pivotal role in our lives, for sure. The Imams have taught us. But hey, did you also know that the Imams taught? The Imams will hold classes. That even, they say Bibi Fatima and others would have classes for the women, for example. Like these kinds of things as well. Some things cannot be taught from this mimbar. They have to be taught in a classroom setting. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, what do? He sits in the masjid of Medina, people ask him questions, he answers. Not only that, he tells people of his companions, he tells them, go, I want you to go to different places and aftin nas. I want to see you giving fatwas and prescriptions to the people who ask questions. This is something that they're encouraging. Yes? There's nothing wrong with having a classroom setting sometimes as well. Whatever it takes, brothers and sisters, whatever it takes to learn more about what? About the one that Imam Hussein was in love with. Man, what pushed Imam Hussein to do what he did that everyone in the universe is in love with him? And then we neglect that. Imam Hussein is telling you as if, look, give me your hand so I put your hand in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then I'm saying, no, I don't want to go there. I want to stop right here. I don't know. Brothers and sisters, let's think about these things. And so as a result, this Azadar is going to be, inshallah, one of the most knowledgeable ones when it comes to the religion. Brothers and sisters, the more ma'rifah you have, the better the tears flow even. Okay? Let us remember that. And so this person is the most knowledgeable. And it's scary because we have a hadith by the 6th Imam where he says this. He says, if I find a Shia youth, right, that is not learning their religion, I will punish them. You don't want to get punished by the Imams, brothers and sisters. Like, we want to keep them happy at least. He says, if I find a youth, a Shia youth, that's not learning about their religion, I will punish them. As I said, it's so easy. You just go read online. There's so many things online now. There's no excuse, inshallah. The Azadar of Imam Hussein unites. This is another one. Okay? There's a lot going on, brothers and sisters, in this day and age. When you look at the maraja', when you look at the ulama, what do you find with them? They're just trying to bring everyone together. Now, their followers, because of, unfortunately, sometimes their jahl and ignorance, what they will do is they will point the fingers at each other. This one says, oh, you're Yazid. The other one says, no, you're Muawiyah. These are not labels that can be thrown around that easily, brothers and sisters. We're careful about these things, or else we're going to have to answer Allah on the Day of Judgment. Muawiyah, in Nahj al-Balagha, it says Imam Ali says he aimed for batil. When he's talking about the Khawarij, Imam Ali, he says the Khawarij, don't waste your time on them after me. Okay? Why? They aimed for haqq, they missed it. Well, this is crazy stuff, brothers and sisters. Imam Ali, are you telling me the Khawarij had good intentions? I mean, that's what it's saying, is they aimed for haqq, but they missed the target. Anyone has a problem with this statement? Don't come to me, go to Nahj al-Balagha. But Muawiyah aimed for batil, he says, and what did he do? He hit the bullseye. And then here I am now calling a fellow Muslim just because they don't see eye to eye with me. Oh yeah, that one's Muawiyah. Whoa. God knows, if you're not misguided in your lifetime, your kids might all of a sudden end up on the wrong path. Why? Because you sent labels on others. These are very dangerous and sensitive things. The Azadar of Imam Hussein, no matter what, unless certain very, very bold red lines are crossed, unites, doesn't cause division. People will do things differently. People might disagree with the way I do things or the way you do things. That's fine. You can't tell them, oh, you're anti-Imam Hussein. Oh, you're anti like all of the institution of Azadari. Like, that's not how it is. This person might have a difference of opinion on the way you do this, the way you do that. I've seen it. You've seen it too, probably some of you. The videos come from parts of Africa. The Shia of Africa, some of them, in their culture, when they're reciting for Imam Hussein, like they have a guitar also. Right? Do we do that? Does an Iranian do that in their culture? No. Iraqi? No. Huh? A Desi does it? That's not what we do. We don't even talk about these things, right? That's how they do it now. Now I'm going to say, astaghfirullah, how dare you? Is it haram, the music that they're playing? It's just like a ding, ding, ding sound. Nothing crazy. No marja is going to say that's haram music. It's not like they're playing some haram music. What I'm trying to say is people do things differently in different cultures, some of which we haven't even seen. And I'm not going to encourage it necessarily. But just because someone's doing something differently, all of a sudden I put a label on them. Imam Hussein brought everyone in, man. He brought everyone in. And then here I am making sure I'm the only one inside. Imam Hussein has the oldest of the old, the youngest of the youngest. Man, woman, different ethnicities, black, white, any color you want, everything you find there. Convert. OGs, everyone. Muslim ibn Awsaja, Habib, these guys, they're the OGs. They go back. And then you have the ones that just got there, like Zuhair. Zuhair, salam, you just got here. Zuhair was an Uthmani. He was not an Alawi. He was not a person that, he felt that Uthman was on the haqq. He's famously known for that. But he also knew something else. These Ahlul Bayt never deserve to be killed like this. So he took the side of Hussein. Look at that now. Everyone envies on the Day of Judgment the rank and maqam of Zuhair bin Qayn. You want someone newer than Zuhair? Hur bin Yazid al-Riyahi. Hur. It's like Imam Hussein is bringing everyone he can, and that is one of the reasons why Imam Hussein's message, memory, story is eternal. Everyone can relate to this story. And then here I am saying, okay, hey, everyone's wrong except for me. Hey, me and Imam Hussein, we go back. The rest of you, I don't know about y'all. Who are you to make such a judgment? Who are you to disunite? That's not what our Maraja are doing. The Maraji are saying, daf'e hadd aqalli, jazbe hadd aksari, which means what? Daf' means to repel. Minimal repulsion, maximum absorption. Bring in as much as you can. But the brothers and sisters, the problem is that the followers of these marja, they're all jazbati. Some of them. And when you're jazbati and emotional and you don't have the knowledge, the first thing you want to do is just draw lines as much as you can. Sometimes it makes you feel good because you feel like I'm special because everyone else is on the other side of the line. Sometimes you want to elevate yourself. There's two ways to be higher than the rest, brothers and sisters. If let's say there's like 10 ladders next to each other, I want to be the highest on my ladder. I can either take 2 steps up on this ladder and then push everyone else down. I'm the highest of them all, right? Or what I can do is let everyone else climb the ladder and then I climb the ladder more. No one wants to do that part and actually do the work to go higher. They just want to push others so they feel good about themselves. This is not a general statement. This is not, inshallah, this is the exception. But this exception, you have a good number of them out there because we're seeing it. Just take a look at Shia Twitter today, man. See what people are doing. Just causing more and more problems. I wish it was... Yes, Imam Hussein's majlis, inshallah, should be a place where everyone is comfortable. No peer pressure. All awliya have come for this connection. They come to bring us together. I want to share one story with you. I forget which book it's in. It's one of these famous poetry books, Persian poetry books. It's either Hafiz, Rumi, one of these guys, Sa'di, one of these ones. Where he tells the story of Prophet Musa. Some of you might have heard this story. It's a cool story. The moral of the story is a nice one. The Prophet Musa, he's with somebody, this shepherd. And so this person is not very educated religiously, doesn't know too much about God and how God is the oneness of God and how God is immaterial and all of that. And so he's like, kind of like, as he's taking care of his sheep, he's like reciting some poetry for God. And he says, oh Allah, where are you? If you come, I'll comb your hair, I'll shine your shoes, I'll take care of this, I'll give you good food, things like that. Us today will laugh at such a thing. Like, what are you talking about? That's not how God is. God doesn't have no hair for you to comb. And even if He did, you need a big comb for that. Because God is big. Prophet Musa overhears this and this story. And he says, do you know what you're saying? Allah is not even a material being. How dare you talk to him like this and like that? And he calls this person out and sits them down. Well, guess what? Wahi comes to Prophet Musa that, oh Musa, what's the line? To bari vasl kardan amadi, na bari fasl kardan. We sent you to connect people to us. There you are disconnecting people from us. Your job was something else. Okay, this person doesn't understand, but look at the core of this person. They're trying. Take their hand. This person in that story, in the end, he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, this, that, God must hate me and all that. This is what we end up with, that God hates me. Because what? Because someone proved me theologically wrong. Brothers and sisters, if there's anything out there that is there for connecting, as our grand scholars have said, it's Imam Hussein alayhi salam. I still remember one of these great ulama akhlaq. He would say that every year when Muharram comes around the corner, what happens is Imam Hussein, as if he casts his net and just brings in whatever. These nets that they cast in the sea right now? Yeah? It brings in dolphins, unfortunately, tuna fish, sharks, turtles, everything, crabs, everything's in there. Okay? Imam Hussein throws the net, everyone comes in. It doesn't matter, you're practicing, you're not practicing. You do namaz, you don't do namaz. You practice hijab, you don't practice it. A lot of these things doesn't matter here. He brings you in, inshallah. Some will stay, some will fall through the holes of the net until next year, inshallah. Let's see what happens. But at least there's some remnants of this Imam Hussein in them. It rubs off on them. You can't, man. You just can't keep going to the majlis of Imam Hussein and it doesn't rub off on you in one way or another. Anyway, brothers and sisters, the point being that as a daughter of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, is going to be a unifying element of the community, not a dividing one. And that's how our maraji are. And finally, I want to single out one aspect. All these things I said were general things, but there's one thing, younger guys, younger sisters, we need to keep in mind, as an azadar of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, what we need to keep in mind is that our parents, brothers and sisters, they're the ones who showed us this path, whether we like it or not. Okay? Now, I don't want to get into all the explanation of, well, what if they're non-Muslim? What if they're non-practicing? What if they do zulm to me? They have their own discussions. But all in all, if mom and dad, yes, they are your normal mom and dad. And they're the ones who brought you into these majalis to begin with. Yes? Then you have to go out of your way. There's no way around it, brothers and sisters. You have to go out of your way to never hurt them. Finished. It's one of those special tests of Allah. Allah only has so many tests. Don't come to me and tell me, because they have come to me and said this to me. Don't come to me and say, oh, Maulana, I want to listen to them, or I don't want to, disobey them, but they don't make sense. Well, if they made sense, you would probably listen to them, right? The whole test is when they're not making sense. Now, we'll have to see. Do our Maraja say you have to obey them in everything all the time? Or is it that for now, what we want to talk about is let's not hurt them? The guy slams the door on his parents because he's angry. You're like, dude, what are you doing? He says, well, I didn't say oof. I'm like, dude, the Quran said don't say oof, but I can slam the door. The Quran says oof, yeah, that's true, but oof translated to your language is, to show some disgust. Like, it's like saying, yeah, I didn't push them, but I just killed them. Oof is the bare minimum, is the minimum. You can't say, oh, I didn't do the minimum, but yeah, I did something like that bad. But I didn't say oof. When I was stabbing them, God forbid, I didn't say oof when I did it. Like, dude, what is wrong with you? What kind of Islam you got? You got to be in some other part of the world. No. Brothers and sisters, we will go out of our way to make sure that they are happy with us. They're not your uncle. They're not your aunt, your cousin. These are relatives. They're not my fellow Muslim brother and sister in the center. If I want to do something, the whole center is upset about it, I don't have to necessarily make sure everyone likes me if I'm doing something that I need to do. But with the parents, all of a sudden it changes. Oh Allah, I am just feeling super spiritual today. I want to fast. Mom says, I don't want you to fast. That same fast that was mustahab all of a sudden becomes problematic. I don't want you to go here. I don't want you to do that. All right. But Maulana, they're not making sense. Well, what? You want them to come and say, oh, I want you to play 7 hours of video games. All right, mom and dad, you know what? I'm going to listen to you because I'm just spiritual today. If mom and dad hadn't said it, you would have done the same thing. That's where the hardship comes, when they're not making sense. And usually they know what they're talking about. I'm saying this out of experience. Yeah? When I look back, usually they were right now that I'm a parent myself. But back then I didn't know any better. But yeah, sometimes you just feel like they don't know exactly what you're going through, what the circumstances are. Worst case, brothers and sisters, what are you going to do? You're going to try your best to let them know what's going on so that maybe they can change their mind. Or at least, even if you're going to do what you need to do, you do it in a way that it doesn't hurt them. But look, you got to go out of your way for them. I'm sorry. And then the mom calls me, she says, I told my son not to go for this program. I'm afraid something's going to happen to him. It's late night, all this kind of stuff. The kid just got his driver's license. No, I have to go for Imam Hussein. Your mom is worried, man. What's his name, that famous companion of the Prophet that never saw him? Uwais al-Qarani. We all know the story. If you don't, look it up. What did Uwais do? Uwais came to see the Prophet, but the Prophet was not there. And since he had promised his mom that I'll come back down to, where was it, Yemen or wherever it was, because I don't want you to be alone, he came back without seeing the Prophet. Eventually the Prophet passed away. He never saw the Prophet. But guess what happened to Uwais? Where did he die? Where did he become martyr? In the Battle of Siffin. What else do you want? And then this kid is saying, no, mom, I'm not gonna listen to you because Imam Hussein is calling me. No, man. The number you have dialed, you're calling something else. These are the things, brothers and sisters. Yeah, it's bitter. Yeah, it's boring. It's like cardio. But these are the things that build an individual and make you, in my opinion at least, inshallah, one of those true azadars of Imam Hussein. But having said all of that, even if a person doesn't have these things, doesn't work on these things, inshallah we do, but still, inshallah, doesn't mean that we have to give up our aza either. But brothers and sisters, let us make the Imam proud. Let us make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala proud as we leave this month, this 1 month that we have left. We make some decisions, inshallah we change for the better. Recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. The head of Imam Hussein alayhi salam has touched many lives, brothers and sisters. In that journey after Karbala to Kufa to Sham, and we don't even know exactly where the head is buried. There are different opinions on this. What kind of journey this head had. But all we do know is we hear the stories again and again, friend and foe, that this head touched the lives of. This head that was disfigured on the spears. This head that was under the hot sun on the spears. Do you think that a head under the hot sun of Karbala and Kufa and Sham is not going to be disfigured? Do you think that they put this head in a case so it can be protected and respected? Or do we hear that again and again that this head would fall from those spears on the ground? This head that was disfigured to the point that, I hate to say this, Sahib al-Zaman, forgive me. This head that in Kufa it says Ubaidullah, when he was poking the face of Abu Abdullah, it says he was poking the lips of Imam Hussein. But then in Sham it says when Yazid was poking, he was poking the teeth. What's the difference? They say, the ulama have explained this. They say because they mutilated the lips of Abu Abdullah, there's no lips left for Abu Abdullah in Sham. This head of Imam Hussein has touched many lives. One of those that was touched was Rubab. The Rubab that Imam Hussein loved very much, he says, La amruk innani la uhibbu baytan or daran takunu biha as-sakinatu wal-rubabu. That Imam Hussein says, by Allah, I love a home that Rubab is in it, Sakina is in it. Uhibbuhuma, I love both of them. I will give my wealth for them. وَلَيْسَ لِعَاتِبٍ عِنْدِي عِتَابُ. No one can scold me for this because you don't know how wonderful these individuals are, Rubab and Sakina. One of those that was touched by the head of Abu Abdullah, they say was Rubab. Why? Because in those final moments on Ashura, when Imam Hussein is leaving the camp, everyone knows, I've heard scholars say this, everyone knows those final moments are for Bibi Zainab and Abu Abdullah. The wives of Imam Hussein, they're like, this is not the time. Although we love Hussein, these final moments are for Zainab and Hussein. Let them have their moment. And so it comes to pass that Ashura takes place, Imam Hussein is shaheed. This head now is what is left for someone like Rubab. And so the account says that she takes the head of Abu Abdullah in the gathering of Ubaidullah bin Ziyad. This is my chance with Hussein. This is my time with my beloved Hussein. I didn't get the opportunity to say goodbye. And it says when he took his head in her arms, he said, oh my dear Hussein, I will never forget the spears they pierced your body with. How they left your torn body on the hot sands, I won't forget. This head has touched the life of Rubab. She is so touched by Hussein, she has so much love for Hussein, that after this whole tragedy, they come back, people come, they say, you're a widow now, we propose to you. She says, I don't want a father-in-law anymore other than Rasulullah. When Hussein was my husband, Rasulullah was my father-in-law. I don't need anyone anymore. And this grief, they say, pushed her to the point that there's two opinions here. One says she went to the grave of Imam Hussein and she stayed there for 1 year and she wept and wept until she couldn't take it anymore and she died. Another account says that she came back to Medina. How can I be under a roof and not be hurt and affected by the sun and burned by the sun when the head of Hussein was burned under the hot sun on the spears? 1 year without a roof over her head until she passed away out of grief. But brothers and sisters, we have to be careful not to forget there was another tragedy Rubab experienced. Yes, she loves Hussein so much, that will just remember this part, but Rabab had a baby that I am sure everyone loved in the camp of Hussein. This beautiful, cute, lovable baby, 6-month-old, is as cute as they get. I'm not going to say much, brothers and sisters. You know this story. All I'm going to say is this, that a point comes, they say, that Hussein felt something warm running down his arm. The blood of Ali al-Asqar, فَذَبَحُهُ مِنَ الْأُذُنِ إِلَى الْأُذُنِ. That from ear to ear, this little neck was slit to the point that a little head is hanging from the skin. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. ماتم الحسين. يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين.
अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं। अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं। कैसा है ये चरागा दिल डूबे जा रहे हैं। क्या शाम आ गया है। अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको क्यों आ रहे हैं। होने लगी अज़ाने कैसे सरों को ढांपें। बाजू बंधे हुए हैं खून रो रही हैं आँखें। आँखों के खून से रास्ते खून में नहा रहे हैं। क्या शाम आ गया है। अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं। नेज़ों पे जितने सर हैं एक सर है उनमें ऐसा। आँखें हैं बंद उसकी और खाक पर है गिरता। अब्बास का ये सर है तेवर बता रहे हैं। क्या शाम आ गया है। अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं। हैं लोग किस तरह के गम से दुआ कराएं। ऐ कैदियो दुआ दो ये दिन न हम पे आए। लेकर दुआएं हमसे दिल भी दुखा रहे हैं। क्या शाम आ गया है। अम्मा फिजा बता दे मुझको पत्थर क्यों आ रहे हैं।